Good morning. Happy Taco Tuesday. It is April 9th, 2024. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett. I'm your host, Bridgett Ellison. Hope you're having a great start to your Tuesday. We're starting off nice and mild out there this morning, and we're just coming off a real big high from yesterday because, of course, you know, the total eclipse, the solar eclipse yesterday afternoon was the big story, big weather story. Meteorologist Candace Campos is in the Pinpoint Weather Center this morning, and I just feel like, you know, from here it's like, it's not downhill. We have a nice week weather-wise lined up, but that was just a real big start to the week with the eclipse.
It took me several hits this morning when I'm taping our weather forecast for our website and for our Pinpoint Weather app. It took me a couple hits because I
You
kept
kept
thinking
talking
today was
about
like,
it.
well, no, I kept thinking today was like Wednesday. I
Oh,
feel like we lived a whole week
right.
already
It was
in just a
epic.
day.
I mean, it
Like, what
really
do you mean it's only
was.
Tuesday?
It was
Okay, well,
special. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
you know, the kids really did enjoy it. I picked them up from school and we kind of hung out there at the field. Um, and I was the weird mom that
You were
had
the science
glasses.
mom, not the weird mom.
Oh,
You're the techie mom.
I'm the nerdy science mom. Because I brought like all of our strainers, like our colanders and all
Yeah.
that stuff, because it was really cool. And I taught a lot of the parents. A lot of the parents were actually pretty interested in when you hold, you know, those pasta strainers that have the little circles, those make almost like a pinhole projector without having
Yeah.
to cut holes and paper and all that stuff. And they were like, wait, but
How
how
does it
does a
do that?
shadow
Right.
change? I'm like, well, it's like if you block, you know, a shape of
hmm
um a flashlight, it does the same
Yeah.
thing. And they all look at me like, I never knew that. So it was cool to
It
have you
was.
know, kind of the parents also involved in it too. So it was fun. You know, I
Yeah.
wasn't planning on doing anything with the kids really because I was like, it's just a
I
partial. It's no
know.
big deal, you
I
know.
know. And then we got bit by the bug. So I'll
Well,
just
when you
tell everybody.
realize
We
well,
went
and
I
when you realize that it's gonna be, you know, 20 years from now and so you can really experience it again with your family, you're
right.
like, "Well, I might as well get,
It
you know,
started to sink
enjoy it."
in. Like, well, might
Yeah,
as well. Might as
might as
well.
well,
Yeah.
might as well. And the Science Center was great, super helpful in getting those,
Oh
the
yeah.
glasses, Bridget, and just
Right.
all the
And we're so
experiences that
grateful to the
they were having
Science
there.
Center for providing those. That was awesome. Yes, please.
Mhm.
Cafecito. Yes, thank you, Terry. Okay. Yeah,
What?
I ran out and got
I'm sending you
yes.
one. Here, I'm
Thank
sending
you.
you a
Thank you.
cafecito.
He's coming over now. And so, yeah, the Science Center had great programming. I was able to run out and get those glasses for us yesterday, Candace. And so, you know, I hope everyone enjoyed it. I was taking a nap and I got up. I woke up out of my nap and I noticed the sunlight looked kind of weird. And I said, oh, let me get my glasses. And I went out there and I could see the little shadows coming through the lanai as well through the trees. So
Yes, through
it
the
was,
trees.
and the
You
kids
know,
brought home their worksheets and demonstrated for me, you know, like they
they
wanted
knew
to,
it.
you know, it was great.
It
And
was, you know
so,
what? It's a moment for everybody to appreciate a little bit of science, and if the
yeah.
entire country can come together and
And the
look at
pins
something like
too.
this.
Thank you, Terry. The pins. Thank you, Terry. This is
Oh, yeah, the
cafecito.
pins.
Yes.
I mean,
Let's show the pins real quick.
I have to admit, though, if you are in that path of totality, there's no comparing being out of the totality and, like, there's just it's night and day,
Look at the
literally.
Oreos. Oh,
That's so good.
that's good. Yeah, we
Look at
had
that
some
eclipse
great pins. Thank
tutorial.
you guys for posting these. And if you still have some, send them in. Go to clickorlando.com/pins or use your weather app or the new 6 app and send in those pins. Put it under, don't we have a tab for the
Yep,
eclipse under weather?
yep, yep, we
Mm-hmm.
have it under space, and, you know, it's one of those things too
Oh, look at the
where
shadows right there.
I love see,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably from a
A
colander.
colander. Very cool.
Mhm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
anyway,
that make
quickly,
yeah.
because I got to do an interview. We have a story. I have a big interview this today about HIV in women. So a women's
Important
health
stuff,
interview
yeah.
coming up. But we do want to give a quick check of the forecast too. Oh, there's the whole crew.
Yeah, I know.
Where
Alright.
are Matt's shades, glasses?
Matt was very unimpressed. He was
Mm.
very unimpressed. I was hearing
He would
they do
be.
their video towards the 11 o'clock, and he was like, "Meh."
Yeah.
Bridget just looked. There they
Just
are.
just to have something to poo poo, huh? Okay.
what a crew, what a crew. All right,
Yeah.
let's give you the down and dirty, what you can expect for the weather forecast today. Listen, we're looking great today. Take a live look outside in Daytona Beach. The sun is shining. The surf will be picking up just a little bit for today as temperatures will continue to warm up to the low 80s. Right now, we're nearing about 60 degrees. Heading to the beach today, go for it, my friends. Just do be aware we still have that high risk of rip currents. Satellite and radar composite, I just want to show you real quick the developing system out over the deep south that's going to continue to make its way towards central Florida by Thursday. With it, it will be packing a little bit of a punch as we head into your Thursday, bringing with it some heavy rain, some scattered showers and thunderstorms. So you can see here future clouds and radar. Today, tomorrow, mixed sun and clouds, maybe an isolated sprinkle at best, but we will really see that line come through by Thursday afternoon. As of now, parts of Central Florida across our northern zones under a marginal risk, basically a level 1 out of 5 when it comes to that severe threat. Later on tonight, temperatures will be back into the 60s. You can see, though, before we get there, though, it will be a nice day. We'll be back into about 82, 83 degrees today. We'll be breezy, and then we'll crank up the heat. We'll crank up the winds Wednesday and Thursday. And then you can see Thursday that rain chance comes in. We'll continue to keep our eyes on that. As of now, might be an inconvenient weather day. If we start seeing more of that severe threat climb up a little bit, we will call it a weather impact day. So we will a weather alert day. We will continue to see that. But then once that front comes through, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, looking great. I don't want to say cooler because it's not cool, but it is relative. It will
Nice.
be feeling like 90. It will be a very pleasant weekend
Yeah.
on tap. So
It's a
that's
prom
kind of
weekend too, Candace, so that looks good.
it is prom weekend for a lot of
Mhm.
folks. I've been seeing a lot of them on social media. They've all been really good at doing these transitions where it's like the
Oh, yeah, the get
the dates,
ready.
the get ready dates. That's
Oh
cute.
my
So
gosh, what a
if we
time.
would have had that stuff when we were at
Mhm.
prom, that would have been fun. But yeah,
Oh,
so good looking forecast, Bridget.
nice. Very nice. Thanks, Candace. I'll see you
You're
soon.
welcome.
See you at
Bye.
noon. All right. Well, we want to get to a little bit of news. Then, of course, we have that women's health interview coming up about HIV with HealthVada. But first, a postal worker was robbed, and this happened in Winter Park. Troy Campbell has more.
What makes you look outside and realize something's going on?
Well, my bedroom has a balcony attached to it, so I heard a noise outside, and I went out to look over the balcony, and I heard a scream, and I saw a man in a ski mask running down the driveway into a getaway car.
Alexia and Naomi Rivera say they were inside their Winter Park home on Monday afternoon when a USPS postal carrier was robbed at gunpoint near the 1100 block of Minnesota Avenue. The postal worker telling them she was robbed for her arrow key, which is typically used to open multi-unit mailboxes. Was it surreal taking the moment where you see a man running a ski mask into a getaway car? You're at home, it's real life.
Yeah, I just I don't know, my first thought was just to check on her. I didn't really even think about them. I just ran downstairs to go check on her.
The U.S. Postal Service says in the past decade, the yearly number of postal workers robbed or assaulted has risen by more than 400%. What should you do if your mail is stolen? Well, according to the federal government, if your bank account information is stolen, you should contact your bank to close the account and open a new one. And if you find fraudulent charges or withdrawals, call the fraud department and get them removed. If your Social Security information gets into the wrong hands, the Federal Trade Commission says to monitor your credit report, and they even provide a link for a free credit report service. The Rivera sisters say they're thankful no one was harmed. You would probably never want to hear that postal workers are getting robbed for these keys, that people are getting away with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like I felt so sorry for her, and so I just felt so bad.
That is a shame. So we'll keep you posted if there are any more follow-ups from that story with Troy. Now to a sales tax workshop in Orange County. The mayor says money is desperately needed for transportation projects. This has been an ongoing need, and in a few hours, leaders will take up a plan to possibly raise the sales tax, maybe try to get it on the November ballot for voters. And here's Mark with more.
Orange County's transportation needs are back up for discussion as leaders are taking up a plan to possibly raise the sales tax. During a workshop this morning, commissioners will be talking about project needs and economic impact. They also could decide the number of years the tax could be in place and if it will be a full penny or half a cent.
If we want to diversify our economy, we have to address all of the quality of life issues, including those related to transit and housing.
Mayor Jerry Demings has been pushing for the transportation sales tax and hosting a series of town hall meetings. The county estimates a 1% tax would generate more than $750 million a year. Half the money would fund access through Lynx, Sunrail, and Brightline. The county would get roughly the other half and give a smaller portion to the city.
What has the county learned from the 2022 experience?
A similar measure was rejected 2 years ago during rising inflation and property insurance, issues that are still a concern for voters this year.
It's very discouraging for the youth, the parents that are already struggling to make ends meet because of inflation.
So we'll see what happens with that. Of course, we know this is a booming area. Transportation is so important. And if you have to drive anywhere near these highways and byways, you know that we need some help out there on those roads. Well, now we have a very important interview we want to get to, and this is something that I'm passionate about as well, women's health. Today, we're discussing HIV rates among women and women's health care. We have Gabriella Palmieri with us this morning from Healthvana. Thank you for being with us,
Morning.
Gabriella.
Of course. Thank you for educating folks about this important issue.
And when we talk about HIV rates, there's still so much stigma around HIV/AIDS. And this is something that you're passionate about as well. You have an extensive background in healthcare. Both your parents are OBGYNs. How did you, how did you go down the path to get teamed up with Healthvana, and why are you so passionate about HIV and women's health care?
Yeah, well, good morning. And, you said it, two parents are OBGYNs. So I think from a very early age, I just had a passion and an interest in reproductive health, especially women's reproductive health. And I'm very grateful to work at Healthvana. It's the largest technology company working to end HIV in the United States. And we've helped impact over 600,000 patients in sexual health across 20 states.
And so when it comes to HIV/AIDS, we're seeing that women were one of the fastest growing demographics of new cases. But you said things are starting to trend a little bit better now compared to recent years.
Yes, exactly. So, things definitely could be better, but across all age groups at this time, HIV is actually trending down, and that's in part because we have access to great medications, both to treat HIV and great preventative medications as well in order to prevent getting HIV. But still, despite that, women make up 20%. So 1 in 5 of every new HIV infections are actually in a woman. And that disproportionately affects women of color. So over half of those new infections in women are in women of color, specifically Black women, even though Black women only make up 14% of the female population.
And this is so sad, and it's really devastating. Black women representing 72% of the women with HIV, but like you said, only making up, 15-16% of the population. So that shows a major disparity there. So what are the major prongs that are still causing this huge percentage of Black women being among the women with HIV?
Yeah, of course. And I mean, there's so much that goes into that we would need, really a whole day to discuss. But part of that is access to health coverage. A lot of that is, cultural and related to stigma as well. But at its core, women are getting HIV because they're not being protected from HIV, and women aren't being taught how to protect themselves from HIV. So like I mentioned earlier, there are ways that are over 99% effective at preventing HIV, called PrEP, and that either comes in a daily pill or an injectable that's taken every 2 months. And however, in the US, the CDC says that only 10% of women who could benefit from taking PrEP are actually taking it. So that is definitely part of what we need to address, is getting more women educated that they are at risk for HIV, and then letting them know how they can protect themselves. And part of that is the medication that's out there that's really great, called PrEP as well.
Well, when we talk about PrEP, you might see commercials, you might see billboards or ads in magazines. I know most of the marketing I've seen has been mostly men in those promotions. So is that conversation changing in doctors' offices and health clinics to try to encourage women to explore using PrEP if protected sex is not an option or something? Or how does that conversation go?
Yeah, well, first of all, you're right. It is getting better. But again, if 1 in 5 women are the new HIV cases, then, at least 20% of marketing should be geared towards women. And just today, it's not. And if it's not happening in our marketing, then those conversations need to start happening in our doctor's office. And it wasn't until 2021 that actually it was recommended by the provider group for OBGYNs to even have those discussions about HIV prevention to all patients, not just patients that doctors deemed high risk. So there's definitely work to be done, both in terms of marketing and in terms of how providers are communicating to patients as well. But until then, I mean, it's conversations like these, it's people watching, this program and the news that are going to help spread the word right now about that women are at risk, that they're unfortunately a large proportion of the group getting HIV, and there are great medications available as well.
So let's have a hypothetical. A
Hmm.
woman, maybe comes into a clinic or goes to see her doctor, maybe just for an annual. How would that conversation go where all points lead to, would you like to explore a prescription for PrEP? What would that entail?
Yeah, so the great thing about this medication is actually most people can take it. There are very little, side effects or medication interactions. So really, all that patient should be able to say is, "Hi, I would like to start PrEP." And ideally, the conversation would start and end there, and the doctor could then prescribe them PrEP.
But what if they don't know
Unfortunately,
about it? What would it be that, your healthcare provider would help suggest that for you?
yeah, yeah. So the CDC has a whole long list of definitions of folks who are suitable for PrEP. And there are other groups who say, hey, anyone who has more than one partner, that would be a good option for PrEP. And I really think that's how providers should start that conversation, really broaden it, so we have less, stigma as well. There's nothing about this individual person. It's just, hey, really anyone who, who's active, who maybe has more than one partner, might be a good option for them to be on PrEP.
Mm-hmm. And so is that one of the ways that we help overcome the stigma, is helping people be more comfortable in pursuing their health care and talking to their doctors? Because I feel like some of these rates are coming about through, indiscretion and dishonesty in our
Mhm.
partnerships and in our relationships. So you're being active with someone who maybe isn't being honest about their status, or there's just a lot of that's happening and unfortunately impacting people's health.
Yeah, exactly. So the CDC actually recommends routine testing even for folks who are who think or who are in a monogamous relationship, and that's yearly. And obviously, if a person were to get an STI from that and they were testing negative before, that's a conversation to have with your partner. But actually, prior STI rates in certain places are an indicator that someone might be more likely to acquire HIV. So actually, as a provider, that's a great time to intervene and potentially get that person on a preventative medication like PrEP for HIV.
Mm-hmm. And so this is going to be across all age groups as well.
In terms of, yes, yeah, so I think it's actually by weight of folks who can take PrEP. So yeah, young folks can get on it as well. And again,
But even
preventing
your
yourself,
seniors,
preventing.
if you're, post retirement age.
Mhm. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
correct. Yeah, these are great medications, and actually, that is the one group, and not anymore, but in 2015 to 2019, there actually were increases amongst the 55 plus group. And
Mm-hmm.
I know we've probably all seen news stories about, STI rates and
Right.
nursing homes. So it's definitely important for those folks to protect themselves as
Mm-hmm.
well.
So, I mean, education is ongoing. trying to decrease stigma is ongoing. So where can people go for more information, Gabriella? And, how can we be advocates for just sharing this information and just, helping people put their health first?
Yeah, so the great thing is there's so many, federal, nonprofit, and state resources now behind getting folks access to PrEP and HIV testing, and preplocator.org is a great resource in order to find some of that information as well. Oh, thank you. You have it up on the screen.
Yes.
I will say that there's also a lot of great telehealth providers as well that are closing gaps in PrEP coverage, and you don't even need to leave your house. You can even do your lab testing from your home as well.
Now, what if you're
So if
worried about
someone were
cost?
Yeah, so again, all those groups, federally, state, nonprofit, even the pharmaceutical companies, if someone does not have insurance and they qualify, you can get PrEP for free, and that includes covering the test, the cost of the test, and the provider visit as well. So if someone wants to get on PrEP and they can't afford it, there are plenty of resources out there to help you get the medication.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of, like you said, it's mostly taken orally every day? Is it more like, you're going to take this like a supplement every day, or, the side effects are minimal, or you've got to take it with food, or what is that lifestyle like if you decide to add this to your regimen?
Yeah, and so there also is an injectable every 2 months that our provider gives. Most people are still taking the daily pill, and that's taking it with supplements. That is a great way for folks to remember to stay on top of their medication. Side effects are pretty mild. There might be some nausea, some upset stomach that first few weeks, and the body does adjust. But like you said, taking it with food can definitely help minimize some of those, normal side effects of initially taking the medication.
Right, right. And still advocating for abstinence and safe sex, of course, the top of mind in front of, preventative pills like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about patient choice, right? And what you described, those are also important, prongs in, the fight to combat HIV. Exactly.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate all of this information. So again, preplocator.com, healthvana.com. .org. Sorry about that. Preplocator.org. And you can go check out some of the locations that can help you out with exploring more information about that option. And we really appreciate you, Gabriella, and the work you're doing there with HealthVana. Thank you for being with us, and hope to talk with you again soon.
Sounds great. Thank you, Bridgett. Have a great morning.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Do we have time for a little bit more, Kathleen? Okay. We have a few more minutes. So we want to take you out to Molly Reed and an uptick in some rip current rescues. We've been having quite a bit of problems with rip currents, and she has more about a recent rescue in New Smyrna Beach.
Well, every second counts from the moment that lifeguard leaves their stand to get to the victim, which this body camera video from the Volusia County deputies will show you.
If you believe in miracles, this is probably one of them.
Lifeguards say they were called to the area near 3rd Avenue in New Smyrna Beach on March 30th. There wasn't a lifeguard tower there, and about a half dozen people were caught in the rip current. Some caught while trying to help others out.
They were the ones that found the victim and kept him above water before we got there.
As lifeguards and EMTs pulled the 21-year-old out on the stretcher, deputies jump in
and just did compressions all the way till we got to the beach.
New Smyrna Beach paramedics and firefighters then taking over. The victim didn't have a pulse, and it was a 5 to 6 minute ride to the hospital.
We got pulses back right when we got to the hospital.
He has since made a full recovery.
It's my 23rd year working in and around the beach, and this is the first time I've ever had anyone in his condition make it to where he can talk to us and interact with us.
Now, even today, the lifeguards are waving the red flag. These conditions with strong rip currents are expected to stick around for several more months after recent storms and even the hurricanes 2 years ago.
Even on days where it's flat and deceivingly calm looking, it can be very dangerous because that's where the rip currents are most apparent.
Every time we talk to Volusia Beach Safety, they always put out that same reminder. Always swim in front of a staff lifeguard tower. They want this to serve as an example as to why it's so important important to do so. Also, when you come to the beach, make sure you are checking out these signs behind the lifeguard towers that tell you about the conditions of the rip currents and also what to do if you're caught in one. They say all of this could be life-saving information. In Volusia County, I'm Molly Reed, getting results, News 6.
I just don't go in the water. And then I just try to keep my kids together where I can see where they are when I'm at the beach. But it's, I love being close to the beach, but you got to be safe. All right, Delta 4 Heavy launch. United Launch Alliance trying again for this final flight of the Delta 4 Heavy. They had an attempt at a final flight scrubbed at the end of last month, you may remember, because of technical problems, and they pushed it again. So liftoff set for 12:53 p.m., 90% chance with the weather, so that's looking good. We'll have it for you live on News 6, Click Orlando, and News 6 Plus. So check that out this afternoon at 12:53, fingers crossed. All right, tomorrow, Wednesday, WKMG is hitting the road again. This will be our second big Hits the Road event, and we're going to Sanford. If you haven't heard, 32771. We're going to Hollerbox German Restaurant. So das ist gut. I hope you could come out. And this is from 4 to 7 p.m. at Hollerbox. Again, tomorrow, April 10th. Be there. You can watch us broadcast live all afternoon from 4 to 7 there. And we'll have all the special stories, just like we did the last time, this time focused on the Sanford community. So make sure you check out our coverage and go to clickorlando.com/hitstheroad for more details. But come out and get a Das Boots and hang out with us. We hope you'll join us. We'll be back tomorrow with more Breakfast with Bridgett. I'll see you at noon with more news and weather updates with Candace and Justin. Right now, here is Weather Wise with Jonathan Kegas coming up right here on News 6 Plus. Take care.